guys, this is Wences. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about decision making. We're talking about what to do when you as an INFJ can't make decisions. And this of course isn't an INFJ thing, but the way we're gonna approach it is very much an INFJ strategy. Because again, we're gonna talk about it in an abstract sense. We're gonna understand why we have such a hard time making decisions, what kind of strategies we can use, and how we can apply it to our day-to-day life, make more decisions, and create a better life altogether. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you want to take the next step in creating your epic life and you want my help in it, then work with me privately. All the information you find below. Decision making seems to be very hard for many people. Like I said it in the beginning, it's not an INFJ thing particularly, but I speak to so many INFJs on a daily basis and I hear this over and over again. This might be something like, oh, I can't make a decision what I'll have for breakfast, but most of us have problems when it comes to a little bit bigger life decisions. But it's a spectrum. People who have a difficulty with making decisions, it doesn't just happen in things that will really change your life. It also happens in day-to-day things. And for some, it's easier, for some it's more difficult. But as I said, we as INFJs, we can adapt and create a great system that will work for us. I've tried this out so many times because I too had problems with making decisions. I was worried that I'll make the wrong decision and therefore I didn't make any decisions at all, which kept me at a space where I didn't want to be. And some of us may be very well aware of the current situation where you can't make a decision, but there's so many life decisions that we just keep postponing because we just don't want to make them. And they're there and we're not even looking at them. So for example, if you feel like your life is not meaningful or you feel like your life is boring and you're not taking active measurements in order to change that, but you also don't feel like that you're already stepping into your next phase, you're just waiting it out. This too is a way of keeping yourself stuck when it comes to decision making. And this of course can lead to depression and anxiety and so many factors that come with it. So many INFJs feel like we're numbed out, we feel like we're observing life from the outside, and one of the things that keeps us stuck here is really our inability to make decisions. So there are great strategies you read everywhere, like thinking if it doesn't really fuel you, if it doesn't excite you, then it's a no. Or make a decision in the first 10 seconds no matter what. There are great strategies like this and I'm sure they all work. But what I have found while working with so many INFJs and what I have also found that works for me really well is the thing that I rather focus on making a decision than making the right decision. And this is something I don't read a lot about, but this has really changed my life. I have recognized that it's all about mindset. I have found that if we have difficulty with making decisions, it's because our mind has programmed itself to feel uncomfortable when there is a decision to make. That anxiety comes up, that you feel like, oh, I'll have some negative consequences if I make the wrong decision, or you keep thinking about what would happen if you go that route instead of the other route. No matter what, you can play this game over and over again. And this is a tactic to self-sabotage yourself. And unless you're willing to admit that to yourself, unless you're willing to say it out loud, to really live in it and to embrace it, it's going to be very hard because so many people don't want to admit that to themselves. They really think, yeah, but it is an important decision. I have to look at all the facts. But where do all the facts stop? Is it really that they stop when you think about them for 5 minutes? Or do they stop after you've gone down that rabbit hole and you've figured out all the scenarios that could happen in each one of them after like 5 years? There is no point where you could say, now I really have all the decisions. So this is a completely subjective matter. So in order to be able to change that process and to rewire our mind, we have to be willing to admit to ourselves that yes, it's a form of self-sabotage. Yes, I rather not want to make a decision because my mind is programmed that way and I'm willing to change that aspect. So we as INFJs are really good at this, to understand those points and to then make a decision that will change everything. So once you're at that point, how do you change your behavior? As I mentioned before, the point is to say, my goal is to make a decision. My goal is not to make the right decision. Because if you think about something and the decision doesn't come to you right away, then there will be always reasons why the one thing is better than the other thing. There is no such thing as now I have all the information. Yes, you might make a mistake. You might make a decision and you recognize that if you would have just thought about it for 5 more minutes, you would have figured out that the other decision would have been better. This is definitely a possibility. There is no doubt about it. But if you look at statistics, if you look at how many decisions you make a day, you will recognize that most of the time you do know what decision to make. And if you don't, then your problem is rather that you don't want to take quick decisions and move forward. It's not so much that you make the wrong decisions. Because if you become a person who recognizes, yes, these things might happen, but I'm still going to focus on making decisions, you will realize that of course you make mistakes from time to time, but there will be such a small percentage in regards to how many decisions you actually were able to make and how many right decisions you were able to make. What we do is train our intuition. That's all it is. It's nothing more than that. But unless you're willing to take the risk of making wrong decisions, you will never change that process. We make, I think it was like 60,000 decisions every single day on a small basis, and most of the time we're not aware of it. And when you learn how to focus on being somebody who makes quick decisions, you'll be able to move on in life that much easier. You know how many INFJs really tell me that they're drained? I know I was. And making decisions a hard thing is one of the things that drain us. That's why we have one of the pillars as physical energy management. We have to work on our energy. And one way to improve this is to minimize the decision process. Yes, there are people in the world like Mark Zuckerberg, for example, who says, I wear the same color t-shirt and the same color pants every single day, so I don't have to make that decision because there are only that many decisions I can make a day before I get exhausted. But we don't have to get that extremely into this. It's not about minimizing all the decisions we could make. On the one hand, yes, decluttering your life, making it simpler, that will definitely help. But today we're talking about you are in a situation and you have to make a decision. How do you teach yourself to make those decisions quicker? So if you're willing to make wrong decisions and that you know that no matter what kind of decision you make, it's not going to ruin your life. We're not talking about things that are really life risking here. Even if you decide to move to another state or that you dare to start that relationship, whatever it is, most things are reversible. And even if they aren't, they don't really mess up your life. They just give you another direction. There is no right or wrong here. So we have to take the burden out of the decisions in the first place. And one of the ways to do this is to become a person who makes quick decisions and makes decisions. This is the most important aspect. Rather be willing to make a wrong decision than no decision. So you can, for example, set a timer for yourself that every little decision where you have to think about it more than, let's say, 30 seconds, you don't think about it for more than 5 minutes. If after 5 minutes you're still not sure what you want, then there is no definite answer here. Of course, as I mentioned, if you go down all the rabbit holes and you think about each one of the scenarios for 5 hours, you'll have much more insight, but we're not willing to pay that price. What we want is to make a decision that you can live with after 5 minutes. And while doing this, you take on a calculated risk. That is the point. I'd rather make 10 times more decisions and have a little bit higher of a margin error than to think something through for 5 hours. Because guess what? If you're somebody who takes a really long time to make decisions, you too will be in situations where you feel like, oh, I made the wrong choice. Maybe if you would have made that choice after 5 minutes, you wouldn't even consider that it was a bad choice, right? And if it's something that really changes your life, like let's say I want to move to a new city or I want to start a new job, yes, you can think about it a little longer. But remember, if it keeps on lingering in your mind, you haven't made a decision yet. So for example, if you say, I'm thinking about quitting my job, and after 5 minutes, or because it's something that important, you have thought about it a little longer, you still say, well, I'm not going to quit my job. And 2 weeks later, it still comes back up in your mind and you feel like I should be doing it. Then rather look at situations how you can quit your job instead of always rethinking, I think I should be quitting my job. Because in that case, you're not moving forward, you're staying in the same position and you're waiting it out. If it keeps popping up in your mind that there's a reason why it's happening, and then we rather have to ask ourselves, how am I going to do that? And I've recognized that we will not know the answer until we do it, until we actually go for it. And there is no right or wrong here. I mean, we're not talking about doing things that really get you in trouble when it comes to your life. Right? We're not talking about you going and trying to dive without a tank for like 10 minutes and then you might die. We're talking about things that happen on a regular basis. Even if we talk about something that's a big thing, like quitting your job and moving to a new city. Remember, no matter what you do, it is in most cases reversible. If you quit your job and it doesn't work out, guess what? You can find another job. Because that job, the first job, doesn't define you. That one relationship doesn't define you. You being a person who makes decisions and actually pulls through with them, that's what makes you you. That's what's gonna help you grow. That's what's gonna help you to be more confident in you and your choices. And the most interesting thing about it is that you honestly start rewiring your mind. You become somebody who listens more to their intuition and doesn't doubt it. You don't think about all the other scenarios. You've chosen this one, you've gone this path, and because you've done this, you've moved on so fast. You will see that going up a mountain, even if it's the wrong one, will always get you further than not going up a mountain because you're afraid it's the wrong one. You go up a mountain, you recognize it's the wrong one. Guess what? From up there, you have a much better view and you'll see the next mountain that's better for you. You make another switch. But if you stay down here, you will never learn all the things that you learned because you went up that first mountain. That things that you recognize, this is not what I want. And now I know it for sure, when before it was just in my mind. We as INFJs really have a hard time distinguishing between what is really just an imagination, what is a thought, and what is reality. You might think that's the wrong mountain for you, but if you know, I don't want to stay down here in this valley, I already know this, and the only way you see is up that mountain, then go up that mountain. Because going up that mountain, you'll learn so many new things. You'll meet so many new people. This will open your eyes and your horizon, and from there you can move on to the next step. Because look at your life. If you've been somebody who stayed in that valley because you thought it's the wrong direction, what has happened? You've been there and you've asked yourself why your life isn't the way you want it to be, over and over again. And you don't have to worry about being somebody who will go that wrong direction and then not recognize that it was the wrong one. That's not who you are. If you were that kind of person, you wouldn't have all those thoughts if this is the right decision or the wrong decision. You are somebody who already thinks about improving your life and what is missing and how it can get better. So do yourself a favor and just go. Do it. Make decisions over and over again. And through that, you will learn how to listen to your intuition. Because your intuition always has a preference. We're just not aware of it. And we need to train it like a muscle. And we as INFJs have the unique opportunity to do this when we focus more on the decision-making process and having that decision made than making the right decision. You'll see it will get you further in life. You'll make less decisions that you'll regret. And it's totally fine if you recognize that this was not the right choice. Because you made it, you also learn something from it and then you move on. Trust me, you will not regret trying this. This is something that I've been doing for years and I always talk about with my clients, and we all see huge progresses in it. Remember, if you want to tap even deeper into this and you want to work with me privately, you find all the information below. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch my latest video on the NITI loop, because this is also an overthinking process that we want to get rid of. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.